Hi, are you unsure about which UK platform you should use to invest your money in 2020? Then you need to watch this video. In this video, I'm going to be talking about the top 3 investment platforms that I believe are available in the UK and also be sharing my personal views on each one of these. And I'll also be talking about what I use each of these 3 platforms for personally.
Get strong.
Hello and welcome to the Nimble Nomad. My name is Arjun, and on this channel we talk about the tips, tricks and hacks to survive and thrive in the UK. In case you're here for the first time, on this channel I talk about all the things about living life in the UK, ranging right from personal finance to immigration and basic how-tos. And everything that I talk about on my channel, I talk about it based on my own personal experience of actually having either performed or used a specific product or service. So the main reason I'm making this video is because, again, as a first generation immigrant, for me, becoming financially independent and secure, investing in the stock market is a really important pillar to my success in this country. And I believe that every other person who either lives in the UK or has moved to the UK should definitely be investing money in the stock market. So I want to simplify and break that down through the videos that I'm producing. Now, the second part to why I'm making this video is because I recently made a video on what are the criteria for selecting and identifying a investment platform that's right for you. So in case you actually haven't watched that, I'll actually add a link of that there. But this is sort of a follow-up to that video, as I'm going to be going into specific investment platforms that you should consider in order to sort of match up or marry up with the criteria that I've talked about in my previous video. Now, before I actually get into the main content of the video, I do want to clarify that if you are investing money in the stock market in the UK as a resident, then you should absolutely consider doing this through a shares and stocks ISA account. And if you're not sure what an ISA account is, I've done a separate video of it. I'll add a link to that in the description below and in the cards. But make sure that you always do it through an ISA account first, and only after you've exhausted your allowances for ISAs, then you go ahead and invest through regular investment accounts. All of the platforms that I'm going to be talking about in this video actually provide you with an option of an ISA, so that's really, really important as well. So a bit of background and context in case you haven't watched my criteria video, but there are 3 criteria for me in order to assess the efficacy and adequacy of an investment platform. So criteria number 1, and this is the most important one for me, is the fees and maintenance charges and the transaction charges that are associated with the platform, and basically how much does it cost for me to use or invest money on a platform. The second criteria for me has always been is the types of instruments or investments that are available to me, because that adds to a diversification model. And then finally is the criteria around what investment markets geographically do I have access to through the investment platform. So is it isolated to a particular stock market like the UK, or do I have exposure to global instruments available to me through the platform? So I'm going to assess all 3 as I go along through the pros and cons for each one of the platform. Okay, so the first one that I'm going to talk about is AJ Bell. Now, AJ Bell actually for me is my least favorite account, and ironically enough was the first investment account that I actually opened in the UK. Now, before I tell you why AJ Bell is the least favorite in my list, let's talk about some positives. So AJ Bell actually is a really reputed financial services or asset management company in the UK. They actually have a very wide range of ETFs, stocks, funds available on their platform. They also provide you with the option of having 3 different accounts on the same platform. So you could have a normal stocks and shares ISA account. You could have a lifetime ISA account with them as well. And then finally, if you don't want to use, or if you've run out of your allowance on the ISAs, you can actually invest through their regular invest accounts as well. The other advantage with AJ Bell is that they actually have really good reading material available on their platform as well. So if you invest over a specific threshold, I believe it's £3,000, you get access to their free shares magazine, which actually is a subscription cost of about £100 or £120 a year. And also they have an app which you can use on your mobile. So the app is actually really good. It's quite handy to just have if you're going to be checking on your investments or maybe buying and selling on the go. Now, the main reason why I actually really don't like AJ Bell is unfortunately the transaction costs and the maintenance fees associated with the account are just way too high in comparison to the other investment platforms that I'm going to be talking about. So this for me is actually one of the most critical assessment factors, and that's why it's actually one of the platforms that I use the least to make any transactions from a personal basis. So I'll bring up on screen what are the charges from a AJ Bell perspective now. So AJ Bell charges a platform fees of 0.25% per year, and it's up to £7.50 per quarter. So if you actually maxed it out for the year, you'd end up with paying approximately £30 a year. Now that may not seem like a lot, but in comparison to the other platforms that I'm actually going to be talking about, that's quite high. They also have a transaction fee which is ridiculous. I mean, so for each buy sell order that you place on stocks and shares, you have to pay about £9.90. And in order to make transactions on some funds or through regular SIP transactions, then you end up paying about £1.50. So you could in theory reduce this now £9.90 down to £1.50 for transactions on shares and stocks by doing a regular investment in a particular stock. But the disadvantage of that is obviously that you wouldn't be buying it at the share price that you want. It's when the SIP actually kicks in or goes through. So as a conclusion, in my personal opinion, I personally don't like AJ Bell, because if you're going to be investing on a regular basis in a wide range of stocks and shares, or if you're trading actually, then this isn't a great platform. It is, however, good if you're going to just be putting in regular sums of money on a month-on-month basis into a specific fund or a set of funds. Therein your transaction fees goes down quite a bit, but you do need to keep an eye on that account maintenance fee, which is still reasonably high. So the next one that I'm going to talk about is not an account that I have in my name, but it's in my wife's name. So the next one is Vanguard. Now, if you've not heard of Vanguard, you're probably new to investments or you've been living under a rock. So Vanguard is one of the most popular investment platforms available in the entire world, basically. They have a user base of approximately 30 million users, and they are a really reputable investment platform globally. The main thing with a Vanguard account is, again, you have access to a stocks and shares ISA account in the UK. So again, any investments that you make through that account will be tax sheltered. And the other aspect with Vanguard is that they give you access to a whole host of geographic funds. So you can invest in a diversified geographical location. So you can invest in the US, you can invest in the UK, or abroad. I'll get into that a bit more in a sec. And also, actually, the Which investment account platform of the year, Vanguard was selected as the best one for 2020. So another plus for Vanguard in case you're considering them. I'll bring up the charges. So Vanguard is known for actually being super cheap and actually having reduced their charges over a sustained period of time. So that's actually another advantage, in addition to the fact that you can invest globally, is that their charges are probably some of the lowest available. So I'll bring that up on screen now. So basically they have a platform fee of 0.15% per year on all investment funds held within the account. So this is still a little bit high, but it's not as high as AJ Bell. They do not have any charges for transactions. So as long as you transact based on the set time, then you won't pay any fees on Vanguard transactions. So they have this 2 transaction periods. So you can either buy and sell at 10 a.m. or at 2 p.m. As long as you do it as within those bulk transactions that Vanguard carries out, you don't actually pay any transaction fees. Now, the only thing you do need to keep in mind is, in addition to this platform maintenance fees, you do have a fee or associated with each one of the Vanguard funds that you do buy, but you need to check this based on the fund that you're investing in. So it depends on the fund. Some funds are more than others, but in general, Vanguard has some of the lowest expense ratios when it comes to funds. So this is another positive for Vanguard overall. Now, the main reason why I actually don't like Vanguard, or I think it falls behind the number one option for me, is that one, you can only buy ETFs. So you have no access to stocks and shares through the Vanguard platform. You can only buy exchange traded funds, and specifically only Vanguard exchange traded funds. So the options that you actually have are quite low in terms of diversification outward, but actually through the fund you're getting access to a whole range of different stocks and shares. So in case you're not sure what an ETF is, I'll add a link of the definition of an ETF in the description below, so you can go and check that out. But basically you'll be having access to quite a bit of diversification. The other thing that I don't like about Vanguard actually is that the only way you can access the platform is through a website. So there's no app on your phone. Of course, you can do access through their mobile website, but the interface with that is always a bit not so great. Apps are always better on a smartphone than the mobile site, because you just don't get all the options easily available to you. My personal opinion on Vanguard is, I think it's still great value for money, cheap, quite simplistic in what you can buy. I think if you're a novice investor, or if you don't want to worry too much about your investments, then I think Vanguard is a great way to invest in some good, cheap, passive exchange traded funds. If you're going to be a long-term investor, perfect, because you're going to get that annualized return and also those dividends over an extended period of time. So I think for beginners, it's a fantastic platform available, and you should absolutely start with that if you are completely new to investing, in my opinion. Okay, so this is the last one. In case you haven't already guessed it, this is my favorite, and I have been using them a lot actually in 2020. I was always a bit skeptical about them, but after having used them, I personally think they are the best platform available in the UK. So in case, just to be really clear and candid, so this video is not sponsored by them, and the platform actually is Trading 212. So this video is definitely not paid for or sponsored by Trading 212. I'm doing this completely based on my own personal experience. I do think Trading 212 is one of the best investment platforms available. So the main reason is there's absolutely no fees associated with the platform. So you don't pay a platform maintenance fees, you don't pay a transaction fees. The only fees that you're probably paying is that if you buy a fund or an ETF on Trading 212, then you may pay the expense ratio associated with that fund. So the operational cost of that fund, which are directly taken from the investment itself, and that would be the case on any platform. So it's a fantastic platform from a cost-based perspective. So you can make as many transactions as you want, but you will not pay a dime to trading 212 in the form of fees or maintenance charges. Of course, you do have other costs always associated with investments, which are quite minimal and are mandatory, which are taxes. So if you're buying UK stocks and shares, then you do have to pay stamp duty, reserve tax, but that's the main thing. The other reason why I really do like trading 212 is you get a wide range of stocks and shares. So you have all the major brands available to buy on the S&P 500 and FTSE 100 stock exchange from a shares and stocks perspective. You get access to ETFs. In fact, the Vanguard ETFs are available on trading 212 as well. So that's another positive. So that maintenance fees that I was talking about on Vanguard, you don't actually pay it on trading 212, pro tip. And so that's another great thing. So from an instrument as well as geographical perspective, plus on that as well. The main thing is, in comparison to AJ Bell that I was talking about, sometimes you don't actually end up with some instruments available to you. So some companies may not be listed. Trading 212 although is constantly adding these, and you can request for them to be added, but that takes usually a while, like 3 to 6 months. I've had a couple that I really wanted added on and put onto the platform, but it takes a while to get them on. But AJ Bell is always available if you want some specifics, because they have the widest range available, frankly speaking. And the final thing with Trading 212, which I really like, is their app. So they have a fantastic app, which actually is better interface than their website. Really easy to use, really easy to access. Lots of different information available in terms of financial instrument data and statistics, and also charts available over a historic period of time. So overall, I think this is definitely the best platform available in the UK at the moment. So finally, what is my personal experience of having used each one of these? So I currently have live accounts with 2 out of the 3, and Vanguard, my wife has an account. So I'll just quickly walk through that. So with AJ Bell, I actually have a lifetime ISA as well as a stocks and shares ISA. So I primarily use the lifetime ISA on AJ Bell, because with the AJ Bell ISA, I can actually make investments like a stocks and shares ISA, just that it is a ISA. And it's, I mean, I'm okay with the charges, because it's not that bad when you do it through funds, which is what I'm primarily investing in my LISA account. The Vanguard account my wife was using and investing through, but after I started using Trading 212, I did recommend it to her, and we've actually recently requested to transfer those funds to Trading 212. But we were investing in passive ETFs for my wife, just as a hedge to my investments, because it gave us a nice diversification in stocks and shares versus ETFs. So again, a fantastic hedge to risk. And then finally, obviously, Trading 212 I use extensively, and I primarily invest in stocks and shares. I do buy regularly on a month-on-month basis when we have down days, but I do them or I purchase individual stocks and shares rather than specific funds on my Trading 212 account. So I think it's fantastic that you have that option of being able to buy whenever you want without actually having to pay any fees associated with it. So that's it, guys. That's all I wanted to talk about in this particular video. I hope that's helped you out, given you a bit of context on what the 3 platforms are and why they're good. I've done so much research on the platforms, done a cost-based analysis on each one of these, and I genuinely believe that these 3 are the best. I hope this video has helped you out, and if it did, please smash that like button, and don't forget to subscribe. It really helps out the channel on the YouTube analytics platform, and it helps it grow. So any subscriptions and likes are really appreciated. I'll see you in the next video. Thanks very much. Goodbye.